Hello, my name is Eric Francis, and let's talk about material starting with paint. I like to use Liquitex basic paints, and also you can use Liquitex heavy body paints or golden paints if you want to upgrade. I also use a water bottle with a few pinholes in the top and a spray bottle, the pump kind, not the trigger kind. We're going to test out some canvases, but before that, I want to introduce you to my palette. As you can see, it's a jewelry case with little compartments. That's because I always pre-mix my paints. So what you're seeing me do now is dilute burnt umber paint. There wasn't enough there, so I added a little more burnt umber and we mix. We'll be testing two canvases. So for this first canvas, the paint sort of beads up. On this second canvas, the paint absorbs. You're gonna have to test your canvases to see if they're absorbent. This is an Artist Loft canvas that I found at Michael's. Now this other canvas, it doesn't take the paint really well. There's some workarounds that we can do, and I'm gonna show you in a second. In general, you want canvases that absorb paint. Let's talk about brushes. I like to use a 3/4 flat brush, a number 2 round, and a number 4 round. You can also use a number 5 or 6 round brush. Now for these brushes with stiffer bristles, I like to use them for larger paintings and not so much for smaller paintings. And I'm about to show you why. Alright, so we add some burnt umber to this stiffer bristle brush. And we begin to paint, and as you can see, it leaves texture and brush strokes. Now this is a preference thing. I don't like to see brush strokes or texture in any of my paintings. I want the paint to be flat, and I don't want you to see any brush strokes at all. Now let's talk about medium. You can see which medium I like the most. That golden glazing medium is awesome. I also use airbrush medium and retarder. Now you use these things to dilute your paint. Also, you put a little glazing medium in your paint or airbrush medium or retarder, and it makes it easier to layer paint. Don't use too much medium in your paint, even though that's what you're about to watch me do. I don't use all these mediums at the same time. It's one or the other. Now let's do a test. We're gonna really dilute this paint with some retarder, and we're gonna thin it down a bunch. Alright, so now we go in, and as you can see, it doesn't have a problem sticking to the canvas, but you can see some of the dry paint to the side and how it pulls up. So if your canvas isn't absorbing the paint really well, you can add medium to your paint and it'll work just fine. It's still better to use an absorbent canvas though. You don't want to use any medium that's quick drying. Check out the label before you buy it. Maybe you're new to painting and want to learn, or you know how to paint and looking to do something new. Well, I have something for you. It's 9 hours of video, which has 3 practice sessions, which are about 3 hours long, and a final project, which is over 6 hours of video. The first practice session is what we're watching now, and that's about layering paint. In the second and third practice videos, we go over blending paint in layers, and that's what you're watching me do right now. In our final project, we're going to use what we did to paint a portrait. We also go over the 4 stages of painting a portrait. We're looking at the first one, which is an umber wash. And this is our second stage, which is building up paint. This is where we use what we learned about painting in layers in the practice session. We build up paint in thin layers. This is the third stage of portrait painting, which is blending. This is the longest part of the video, because we go from general details to very specific ones. In this third stage, you watch your painting come to life. I show you the step-by-step process. The actual scenes to the video go by slower than this. What makes learning from a video awesome is we get to see a super close-up of the brushstrokes. We're so close that we can see the weave pattern of the canvas. And if we miss something, we could always rewind. In the fourth and final stage, we add finishing touches. It's when we look over our work and add anything that's missing. The beauty to painting in stages is this: you always know where you are in the process. Plus, you always know what you need to do to get closer to the finish line. Also included is a workbook and over 80 pictures of the painting being complete. Some people learn better by reading, others by watching videos and doing, and others they'll learn just by looking at pictures. But I think most people will get the process by using a combination of the three. This is all about showing you technique so you can gain technical skill. It's simple, but it's not easy. After you practice for a while, you won't be thinking about technique or stages, and your work will just flow out of you. And that's a fantastic place to be. On August 25th, I'm going to make this all available on Patreon for $5, or it's a $5 monthly charge. Now, Patreon is a crowdfunding site. Unlike the speed videos I do here on YouTube, I'm gonna have longer, slower videos there on Patreon, so you can see the whole process, one brushstroke at a time. I need you guys to do me a solid. Comment, like, subscribe, or share the video. And there's a link to Patreon in the description. God is good. Peace.